So Atul, I'd love to understand from you, what would you say is your leadership style?
One of the things that I personally do is to lead from the front. That is the core of my leadership style. Because I feel if you do that, then you command respect, you don't demand respect, right? The other thing is about walking the talk, right? If you walk the talk, not just for the team, but for the entire organization, I mean, you are developing confidence in yourself. You are seen, as somebody who's trustworthy, and your word carries weight. Last mile focus, thirdly, is very important to me. For me, it is always 70% implementation and 30% strategy. So I am always more, focused on flawless implementation than on strategy formulation. I feel it always helps in achieving your objectives. Meritocracy is absolutely important if you have to be a good leader, because that's how you inspire people to reach greater heights, and that's how you push mediocrity to the background. And then finally, delegation is a key tenet of my leadership profile, and that's how you take your team along with you.
Amazing. My next question is that this is now the age of the younger people, the millennials and the Gen Zs.
Yes.
And you must have worked with many people across age spectrums.
Yes.
What is your perspective on how are the younger people to be managed, and how do we manage their aspirations?
I would like to focus more on Gen Z than millennials, because I think from a marketeer perspective, that's critical today. And there are keywords that describe, and within these keywords, from a marketeer's perspective, lies your marketing strategy. One is FOMO, right? The fear of missing out.
Yeah.
That is key to Gen Z, right? They want to be part of the action all the time. So as a marketeer, you need to leverage that. The second is DIY that we use in a lot of our program terminologies, do it yourself, right? That is what characterizes this generation. The third is they're too much into, they really value experience. So product experience from a marketing perspective, to give it to them is absolutely paramount. Fourthly, mobile is their best friend. And fifthly, social media is a way of life for these people, right? So I think, these five form the cornerstone and there is no rocket science. If you have to design a branding or a marketing strategy or a strategy for a product line targeted at Gen Z, these are the key features that will decide your strategy. Like social media is absolutely important. You need to have maybe 3D modules and give them even digital experiences. You need to call them to events and, at a better time, and you need to give them live experiences. So there is no rocket science, but these are the 5 things that will define your marketing strategy.
Oh, interesting. So Atul, I'm going to move to the last segment of our conversation.
Yeah.
Our viewers and listeners love to get to know our guest a little better.
Yeah.
So my first question is that what would you say are 3 key milestones or pivot points in your life or your career?
So one of the first things that come to my mind from a professional angle is that I have constantly moved out of the comfort zone.
Okay.
What many people don't do. So I'm totally sector agnostic. I have struggled throughout my career because I've moved from one sector to another, and your learning curve is never complete. But because I took those you can say uncomfortable decisions, different sectors have given very diverse learnings, right? From FMCG to FMCD to automobiles, right, to telecom. So you just learn all the time. So I think that's one career highlight. The second element that I'd like to speak about here is that it's been a very closely intertwined branding and marketing experience, right? What I call is as a product management and brand management experience. I think for any marketeer, it's absolutely essential, right? You don't just need to spend the marketing dollars. You also need to be a revenue generator for the organization and take revenue objectives. If you're able to do that, it's your perspective to marketing changes totally. The third is I've been part of some of the, a slew of brand and product launches. And I feel from a marketing perspective, a product launch is something that gives you the most comprehensive experience like that. In part of brand launches like Sansui, Kenwood, relaunch of the Airtel brand, of two major automobile brands in Matis and Nexia and Daewoo Motors. And so like if you part of a, say for example, of a telecom brand launch, it gives you the entire horizon from A to Z. The experience is immense. You start from the business planning, you drive the business objectives, you drive the launch. You even as a marketing head drive where your first launch will take place, followed by second market and things like that, rather than just looking into the launch event and the hoardings and the print media campaign. So I think these are some of the career highlights I would like to put in.
Wonderful. And my next question, Atul, is that in a life well lived, in a career that has spanned so many years across so many industries, what would you say are some of the core values you have believed in as a marketer?
Yeah. So I think the values that a marketeer should follow are basically should be closely intertwined with the organizational values, right? Honesty and integrity for a marketing person is absolutely important, right? And you need to be not just honest and work with integrity. You have to be, extremely careful if you are holding a marketing position and if you are handling, big marketing budgets, right? Because despite your honesty and integrity, somebody else may be slipping up. So honesty and integrity is absolutely important. Second is honoring commitments, I think is as a value is very critical. Once you have committed, you just need to go ahead and do it as per timelines and as per the deliverables. And third, very important, value that I really cherish is quality.
Okay.
All your endeavors should result in a high quality output. And as a value, it's not just market, it may be an email that I am sending to you. Is it giving you the right message? Am I spamming you by writing 15 lines? I could have done that in 2 lines. So that's quality for me, right? Which begins efficiency at every level.
Fascinating. So Atul, I have time for 2 more questions that I'm trying to debate what to ask you. But let me ask you a question on failure.
Yes.
I've often said that parents in Asia don't teach children it's okay to fail.
Yes.
We are always told first in class, head of the line, etc., etc. And yet we learn when we fail. So my question to you is, what have been some of your learnings from your mistakes?
Right. So before I answer your question, because I handle entrepreneurship, right, I just want to tell your audience that entrepreneurship, 90% of the startups fail, and they fail globally, including Silicon Valley, right? One of the key tenets of entrepreneurship is, how you overcome failure and how you don't let failure deter you. Like I have seen in the Silicon Valley, they wear failure on their sleeves as a badge of honor. So that's the message I want to give to you. They say actually with a great deal of pride that I failed thrice before I succeeded, right? So there is no harm. If you're succeeding, that means your journey has been replete with obstacles and failures, right? So now coming back to your question, just to give you one instance that I have learned in my profile, because my profile does not allow for too many mistakes and failures. But there has been an instance in one of my past organizations where, I realized that you don't need to be too trustworthy as a marketing leader. If your hunch is strong that you need to do a due diligence, you should do it whenever required, or you should do it as a matter of habit at regular intervals. That doesn't mean you're distrusting people. That as a systemic process, you should do it. I learned it the hard way.
Okay, well said. And my last question to you, Atul, and this is for the many people who will listen to your words of wisdom. What is your advice to a young individual who's starting off on her or his career in the corporate world?
Yeah, so two things, and I think both of them should be ingrained, and people should be mentally prepared with that mindset before they enter the corporate world. The one thing is, it may be oft spoken about, but it's very relevant. There are no shortcuts, right? You have to go through the grind. Wherever you're coming from, whatever background you have, if you don't go through the grind, you're never going to succeed. The most successful people today have started and have done a grind, have gone through an absolutely terrible grinding process, and they are honed up their skills accordingly. One of the chairmen of Hindustan Levers actually started by going on a bullock cart, selling soaps and shampoos in rural areas, right? So that person started from there, and imagine the immense learning he would have had when he was sitting in the boardroom as a chairman. And the second thing that I would like to say is learn. Never ever think that your learning curve is complete. Never be afraid to ask questions. And this is a very important thing I am saying. Never be afraid to ask questions and look stupid in the process of asking questions. Because today's stupidity may be tomorrow's wisdom for you.
How nice.
Don't be afraid.
How nice. Atul, on that note, thank you so much. It's been such a privilege speaking to you.